Hey guys, this is Big Mike. I wanted to do a little different video today to kind of celebrate a couple different things. Celebrate my success on my gaming videos and my subscribers, but also to celebrate some things where I've lost about 37 pounds in the last 6 to 7 months doing a low carb diet. And what I wanted to do is share one of the recipes I figured out when I was doing this diet and kind of let you guys try it out and see if it's worth it for you. So this is probably not necessarily on the high end of a keto or a ketosis diet, but this is definitely a low carb chicken Parmesan meal. And I think the total net carbs, I come around 14, 15 net carbs, which is a little high probably for some meals. But if you don't do this you do it once a week or every so often, this is a great meal. Plus you get to feel like you're eating some of your normal meals. So the cost on this is probably between $8 and $12 on the high end. And as I said, I'll walk you guys through all the ingredients and the temperatures of how to cook everything. One note is I do use fried pig skins in this recipe, and a lot of people probably don't like fried pig skins. Now, I want you to be open-minded and check it out, and maybe even try a small piece of chicken with the fried pig skins as part of the recipe, because once you add the sauce, the cheese, the noodles, and maybe even a little bit of garlic if you want to add that, or oregano, you can't taste the pig skins at all, especially if they're generic pig skins. So, and plus the biggest bonus is pig skins are 0 carbs. So either way, I wanted you guys to see this video and try it out and let me know in the comments what you think once you try it and all that kind of stuff. Guys, please definitely hit the thumbs up and subscribe and help feed Big Mike. Enjoy the video. So guys, here we are. We've got all the major ingredients that we need to make the chicken Parmesan, the low carb chicken Parmesan tonight. The first thing obviously is we're going to do a couple pieces, but we basically a half-pound piece of chicken breast. We've got the low moisture mozzarella cheese. You can use any cheese you want as long as it's low carb. We're not using a tremendous amount of cheese anyway, so you can count those carbs and still be pretty lean. I've got low carb or reduced carb al dente pasta carbonara. This is one of 4 different versions they've got. This one is roasted garlic fettuccine. So we'll probably do about a cup of that. And then I use for the chicken itself, instead of breading it with something else, I use 0 carb fried pork skins. Now you can do any flavor you want. There's 100 different flavors. The biggest key on these is you want to make sure when you look at the back of the package that you make sure there are no carbs. And see right here, total carbohydrates 0. So you definitely want to look at that. I've got a dish for the chicken to cook in. We're going to cook that for 25 minutes at 400 degrees. You want the internal temperature on the chicken to get to 165. I don't personally use the thermometers anymore to check the temperature. I've cooked it enough that I know 25 minutes at 400. 400 is a little hotter than normal, but 400 tends to keep the moisture in the chicken, so it allows it to be a little more juicy. I've got just the utensils we're going to use to cook with. I love oregano, so I use a little extra oregano in my sauce. And these sauces here, you can use any one of these sauces. I've actually looked at about 100 different sauces, and what I found is Rayo's homemade sauce. They've got multiple types, but this guy right here is 3 carbs per half cup. So there we go. Let's see if I can get that in there for you guys to see. This is one of the lowest I've ever seen. So if you can find this at your local restaurant, it is a little more expensive. You can buy it on Amazon. I find it at my local Kroger's. But if your local grocery store has that and you just absolutely want the lowest carbs, that's absolutely awesome. You can use this on pizzas, spaghetti, chicken Parmesan, any of those type of things. Now, if you want to go a little bit heavier, Classico is a little more chunky. This is tomato basil and roasted garlic. These 2 guys are a net of 8 grams of carbs, and I believe it's for, let's see here, it's for a half a cup as well. So it's 8 grams of carbs for a half a cup, and obviously that's about 2.5, almost 3 times what it is on Rayo's. So I prefer to stick with this one. And then the next step up is this is 10 total carbs, but 8 net. So, worst case scenario, depending on if you want to try different flavors and those kind of things. But again, they even have a hot version of Rayo's, so I kind of stick with that. And then obviously the last 2 pieces, there's a couple pans, one for the sauce, one for the noodles to cook in. These noodles are pretty cool. So it suggests a cup and a half, I believe, yeah, 1.5 cups, and that is a total of, let's see, 24 minus 7 for your dietary. You take out the dietary fiber whenever you're looking at your net carbs. So, you know, you're looking at what, 17 carbs there, which is still kind of high. So what I typically do is I just reduce it down to 1 cup. Now, there's other options you can do for your noodle replacement, but this by far is 10 times better. So we're going to try and go with 1 cup and get it closer to 10 net carbs on this. So we got 10 net carbs here, about a half a carb in the cheese, and then we got 3 carbs in the Raos. So we're still under, what is that, 14 carbs, 14, 15 carbs, and that's awesome. So for a large meal with pasta, chicken, and sauce, we're gonna stay under 15 net carbs for a large dinner. So hopefully this makes sense to you guys and you enjoy it. I'm gonna go walk through now the actual cooking of the chicken. Now guys, we're going to work on the chicken now. One of the things you want to do with your chicken is you want to buy it fresh. If you can do it frozen, that will be fine, but it's going to be a whole lot harder to bread the chicken. So I actually prefer to get it fresh, and as always, when you open up your fresh meats, you always want to rinse them off real good. So we're going to rinse these guys off and place them in the pan. You can also, when you go to bread it, you can either just leave the chicken moist and use the wetness of the chicken itself to bread, or you can actually use a little bit of egg white. So you could dip it in egg white and bread it that way as well. Okay guys, now what we do is actually open up a bag of the pork rinds, and it says, it gives you the ingredients. It basically says there's about 6 servings in here. So what I try to do is for 1 piece of chicken, I fill up a Ziploc bag about halfway, and I leave a little hole in the top, and I actually crush up. So if you leave the hole in, you kind of crush up the pork rinds inside the bag. If you get them to a good consistency, this is kind of what the consistency you want it to look like. So once you've got this all crushed up, we can then just pour it into our bowl. And this is what we're going to use as the breading on the chicken Parmesan. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab the chicken, and it's still kind of moist from sitting in there, and I'm going to just like push it down onto the pork rinds. So you get a good little base covering of it. And it's not going to be perfect. This is not going to be exactly like, you know, mom's chicken Parmesan, or something you get out at a restaurant. But there we go. We kind of got a little bit of a basting of the crust. So we'll do the other piece. And once I'm done, I typically take it and I just pour the excess on top. So I want to get a good surrounding of it all over. And we'll put it over here. So now we've got the 2 pieces there. And I just go ahead and I pour the rest of it on top, just to kind of let it cook right on top. So there we go. So that's what it's going to look like when we stick it in the oven. Okay, and now we're going to stick the chicken in and let it bake for 25 minutes. There we go. So we'll check on that in 25 minutes. Now while we're cooking the chicken in the oven, it's going to take about 25 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and start the noodles. Now the actual package on the noodles says do not overcook, and it actually says to test after 3 minutes in boiling water. I'm going to tell you guys what I typically do is I make a cup and I drop it in the water. The water's not even boiling yet, but go ahead and turn this on. We'll get the water started to boiling maybe in a second here, but what I'm going to do in the meantime is I'm going to go ahead and measure out 1 cup of the carbonara. So there we go. We've got 1 cup of the noodles, which as you guys can see, I just kind of pushed them down in a little bit, but I got the noodles, and now we're going to take these and we're just going to drop them right into the water. Now I will let that boil probably for a good 10 minutes, maybe 12 minutes. Okay, and so while the noodles when they start boiling, I prefer to add just a small capful of extra virgin olive oil. That'll help keep the noodles, retain their moisture and to stay soft. And then I also like to add just a little bit, just a touch of sea salt. So now we're going to go ahead and open up our Rao's homemade marinara sauce, and I'm going to do 1 cup of that to start. And typically I usually do a little extra because I'm a saucy guy. I kind of like the extra sauce. So we're going to drop that into a pan. And we're actually going to do about another half a cup probably. There we go. Alright, so we're going to drop that in. There we go. Alright, so now we've got all the ingredients in there, and I like to add just a couple extra dashes of oregano, a couple pinches. There we go. Alright, so now we'll turn the sauce on, and we'll let that simmer at a kind of a low temperature the entire time that we're cooking the chicken, so about 20 minutes. While everything's cooking, I wanted to give you guys a look at all the different types of noodles in this set, the al dente carbonara. You've got the roasted garlic, which is what I'm using today. You've also got an egg fettuccine. I've used that several times. It's a little bit milder flavor. The one I've used the most is the basil fettuccine. I really love this one, and I've used it up. The last one is a lemon pepper fettuccine. If you want to do a lemon pepper chicken or a lemon pepper fish, then you can actually use this as your base underneath the fish. So the noodles are done, so we're actually going to turn those off, and we're going to move those and strain them. As you guys can see, I just got a generic strainer. I'll pour this through here. And what I typically like to do, take and run some cold water on it real quick, just like regular noodles, just to kind of shock the noodles a little bit, and then pour them back into the pan. Leave a little bit of water in the pan just so that you can let these set and cover them while the chicken finishes cooking in the oven. So as you guys can see, the sauce is coming along very nicely. I prefer to get the sauce really good and hot and then let it simmer for a while. You want to really let it cook, because really good tomato sauce, it really takes a long time for it to cook and make the tomatoes very tender. So that's just about finished as well. So I'm going to turn it to a very low temperature and just kind of let it simmer a little bit. So guys, as you can see, I just took the chicken out. I did cut into it to verify that it was definitely cooked all the way. It almost smells like fried chicken, which is pretty cool. I think there's probably a recipe we could do here where we could do some baked fried chicken with the fried pig skins on it as well. But either way, that's what it looks like when it's finished. And again, you know, depending on the size of the meat, you may have to cook it a little bit longer. I think I actually did about 28 minutes this time, because these pieces of chicken were a little bit larger than what I typically get. So as the base, we're going to use our carbonara noodles. Got those there. And now we're going to grab a piece of the chicken. We'll lay that guy right there. And then let's go ahead and grab some sauce. Let's see the sauce. And this Rao's is you can get the different types, but this one's a little chunky, so it's got some good tomato chunks in it. So there's the sauce, and obviously you can use how much ever sauce you want, but just realize you're getting more carbs the more you put on. And we're going to sprinkle in the half a cup or a quarter cup of Parmesan, and then add the oregano on top. As I said earlier, I like a little extra oregano. And then a little bit of a garnish here, guys. And as always, our little pepperoncinis that we like to have with that. And there you go. That is our chicken Parmesan, which is it's less than 15 calories, and it actually costs probably around $10 total, and about a 30-minute prep time from end to end. So hopefully you guys enjoy this, and as always, you know, check out my other videos. This is not my typical video. It's a cooking video to kind of celebrate the success of my gaming videos. So if you guys enjoy this, definitely leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about the recipe. Let me know if you've tried it out and what you thought. And as always, guys, help feed Big Mike.